Hi, this is Scott Garibay. Today I'm going to be talking about the Samaritan Purse movie, Facing the Darkness. So this is it was a Phantom event movie. So this was in an actual theater, but it was on one of these Phantom events where, essentially they're renting out one theater for a night and then, they kind of arrange it. I really like these Phantom events. I think they're fantastic. I love the way that they're structured so that you can put these very low distribution movies into theaters. This was a really extremely interesting film. I walked away from it with a lot of questions. So what this was about the breakout of Ebola in the year 2014 and 2015 in Liberia in Africa. And so what the movie showed was that there were two relief organizations that were dealing with Ebola in Africa. And those two organizations were Samaritan's Purse, and they were, which is a Christian organization. It is linked to Franklin Graham, which is linked to Billy Graham, who was an old Southern evangelist back in the early 19th century, 20th century, early 20th century. And so, basically, I don't know if Billy Graham is actually specifically connected to the Baptist, but I would say that, as far as his faith is, it's mostly structured as a Baptist faith. So you have these Christians who are in Africa, and one of the things that was very, very clear that Franklin Graham actually said was that Samaritan's Purse never went into Liberia to deal with Ebola. They went into Liberia to deal with all the symptoms of poverty, essentially. People not having access to clean water, not having access to good health care, not having access to literacy, not having access to just so many things we take for granted in the developed world. And so, but what happened is, the Samaritan's Purse was in Liberia, and they were actually doing work. And, they had a strong foundation for relief work within Liberia. Then Ebola broke out, and people were dying left and right. So what they did was they sent in some doctors. And one of them was this guy, Kent Brantley. And I think the other's name was Nancy Wright-Bowl. And she was a person who was assisting the doctors. Both of these people got Ebola during this entire breakout and were then given ZMapp, which was a groundbreaking medicine, and then they were actually flown back to the United States with Ebola to recover, which is... Or they had Ebola and then now they didn't. That one wasn't super clear. But it was one of the things that the movie raised a lot of questions. One of them was the Samaritan Purse people kept saying, why were we and Doctors Without Borders the only relief organizations that were in there helping them with Ebola? And I think the answer to that is Africa is very challenging in that the moment you step in, where do you stop? Right? Because when you step into Africa and you start to supply relief, one of the issues that's happening there is there are essentially warlords. There are forces within that country that you would logically take military action to fix as soon as you're involved. And so I think that's the issue is people want to help in Africa, but they don't know where that help would stop. And if they go in, I think they're worried that they run into a situation where people are saying you're doing too much or you're doing too little. And so it was a very, very interesting film. I did walk away with a lot of questions from the movie. I think the intent of Samaritan's Purse was good from the beginning. It really was. The movie left me with a lot of questions. Take care.